Hello, and welcome to my review of the two new Black Clover chapters, 370 and 371. Both of these chapters were very exciting in their own ways, so let's break them down real quick, and then I want to give my thoughts on some of the events that have occurred here. The color page for chapter 370 looks fantastic. I like it quite a lot, and I do think that Yami and Yuno both look really good in a suit. So we start chapter 370 continuing Asta and Yuno versus the four Lucius clones. As the two rush in to attack, a building rises in front of them. And we're continuing this plot line of pieces of the Clover Kingdom rising into the sky. It's actually coming to the forefront here, and we kind of find out why Lucius is doing this. Asta speaks with Yuno, saying Ryu explained this to him. Lucius plans to realize his ideals using gargantuan compound magic in the sky. In this panel, the castle is rising along with large portions of the Clover Kingdom, and it does seem like at this point the entire Clover capital is in the sky. Yuno's Never Never Land is still active, but more importantly, we see something above the rising capital. It's a bright white tree with its roots branching downwards towards the pieces of the Clover capital in the sky. I'm honestly not sure what this is. If I had to give my best guess, it's likely a purified tree of Qyphoth. And Ryu says that there's only two people that can defeat Lucius. This is, of course, being Asta and Yuno. The four Lucius clones break through the building, attacking Asta and Yuno. A portal opens in front of them, and four Black Bulls come out. Finral, Nero, Zora, and Charmy. More of the Black Bulls square off against Lucius clones and help the captains. Gauche and Mary arrive to Rill's location. Vanessa and Gray arrive on the battlefield next to Noel. Gordon is with William and Charlotte. Noct and Ichika are going against Morgan and a Lucius clone. Yami is still falling. Henry kills an angel, and it seems like he's actually going to be fighting a Lucius clone by himself. Asta and Yuno rush past the four clones they were facing, heading for the real Lucius, and that's the end of chapter 370. Chapter 371 is the conclusion to Maria Leona versus Maurice. The last time we saw this fight was chapter 358. It's been just over a year in real time since we visited this fight. The final move from chapter 358, Kalados Brachium Purgatory Flame Burial, does not appear to land in this chapter, at least from what I can tell. Maurice summons Earth zombie-like beings that charge towards Maria Leona. She attacks them, but they quickly regenerate. Maurice has a long monologue about his philosophy of science, ending with how he was chosen by God, and the Earth zombies make it to Maria Leona. She goes to punch them, but her left arm partially dissipates, just like in the Spade Kingdom against Lucifero. Maurice brings up the limit of human beings, and this sends Maria Leona into a small flashback. It mostly revolves around her being extremely powerful and her journey and ideals involving achieving her strength, and she concludes with how she fought against monsters and almost made it to the top, but she couldn't do it alone. Multiple long arms of light press against Maria Leona's back. The flashback continues, with the Crimson Lion Brigade members saying that although they will never be able to stand and keep up with her, they still want to follow her. Flagoleon stands side by side with Maria Leona, apologizing for keeping her waiting. Flagoleon sends a wave of fire forward, eviscerating some of the army of earth creatures. Marileona smiles, saying, I get it now. I always burn away my limits. Her body glows bright as streams of light emanate off her. The ground around her cracks and breaks, fire seeping through the openings. Each corpse of her fallen brigade members has a large flame rise from it. These flames begin to twist. Rigolion and Maurice look on in shock, while Marileona smiles. This is followed by an awesome double page spread and a new spell. Ultimate Flame Magic, Exceltius Leonum. Marileona's design has changed slightly. There's a lot less line work and detail on her, and around her eyes is a darker color flame that trails off her face. Behind her is all of her fallen brigade members, now made of fire, resurrected by her. They are confused because they thought they had just died. Marileona says, So what if they're dead? She won't let them sleep on the job. She then tells them to follow her in death, too. The Crimson Lion members say, Yes, ma'am, and then charge to attack Maurice's earth zombie creatures in a massive clash. Marileona rushes towards Maurice. She sends a torrent, he sends a torrent of hands to kill her, but she burns them all away. Maurice realizes he cannot break her apart, or rather, there's nothing to break. Her body has completely turned into mana. He then speaks of the flames of resurrection and the transcendence of flesh, saying those lie in the realm beyond reason. How could a mere mortal reach it? Marileona replies that the ones who gave their lives for her taught her the shape of the human soul. She continues to pummel Maurice, whose regeneration can't keep up. Maurice continues to spout about how he was chosen by God, in which Marileona says she doesn't give a damn about God, and he will serve as the nourishment for human evolution. Isn't that what he wanted? Chapter 371 ends with Marileona killing Maurice, punching multiple holes through his body, tearing him apart, including completely reducing the left half of his head to nothingness. Both of these chapters were great. I do like 371 more, but that's mostly just because I love Marileona. Before discussing the content in the chapters, I do want to quickly bring up the pacing and why I actually like what Tabata is doing. Sure, waiting as long as we do is a bummer. However, we got about 45 pages of content this time. The second chapter of Marileona versus Maurice is almost double chapter 358. With both of these new chapters together, I do believe we have about 10 double page pieces of artwork, and the art in these chapters is a little more detailed and sharper than some of the earlier Judgment Day chapters from about a year ago. I also appreciate that we're still getting relatively normal sized chapters. I think it works better for the pacing here. And I mean, I would not complain if we got, like, say, two 20-page chapters with each time Tabata releases new content. As for the content of the new chapters, let's start with 370. This really is a setup chapter, and I couldn't be happier. It gives the story space to breathe, and it still has a lot of interesting and exciting content, and I'm just glad things aren't being rushed here. The kingdom rising towards the purified tree of Qaifoth in the sky is probably the most exciting thing to come out of this set of chapters. Um, you can't really explain it. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people can make theories, but there's a lot that's just not known about where this subplot's going. I do think that it's being built up as a massive stage for the final battle, and I think that's something that the Lucifero fight lacked. that hopefully this final battle will really deliver on. Some of the Black Bull fights have also really piqued my interest. I'm especially excited for two of them. The 4v4 with Finral, Charmy, Zora, and Nero, and the battle with Gray and Vanessa. I feel like Gray and Vanessa have lacked major moments for quite a while now, so I'm actually really excited to see where this fight goes. Of course, the Yami battle is the event that I'm most looking forward to. Yami's still falling, but this is a fight I really want him to land and just nail it because it has so many of my favorite characters, and it's the plotline I'm the most interested in right now. Something else Chapter 370 does is its placement of Yuno, actually. I feel as though in both the ending of the Elf Reincarnation Saga and the final battle in the Spade Saga, Yuno was always a small step below Asta, but here the two of them are placed on a very equal level by Ryu, which I really appreciate. Chapter 371 has less to discuss in terms of the story's overarching plot, but it still does bring a lot to the table. The first is this chapter actually concludes the first major conclusion of the three paladin fights that are going on. And Mario Leona actually surprised me in this chapter. After the events of the Spade Kingdom, I had thought that her big moment in the final arc would be that she trained her body to be able to keep up with the overwhelming power of the Hellfire Incarnate spell. However, she actually transcends her physical form and becomes mana itself. Honestly, this is just extremely badass. On top of resurrecting her fallen Crimson Lion members, it was incredible to see. As for her fate after this spell, I'm not too sure what to expect because she seems to have transcended her physical body. So I don't know if she can revert from being mana or being made up of mana back to her physical form. I don't think she would just like die or dissipate after using the spell. But really, we'll just have to wait and see. The only thing I really disliked about Chapter 371 was Maurice. I really just don't like him. Way back on my first read through, I was excited to see him. But he just fails expectation time and time again. Now being a shell of himself, spouting about God and Lucius, and he easily has to be the least interesting opponent of the three paladin fights. Fagolion also kind of disappoints here. He whisks his hand and sends out a wave of fire. But at the rate he's been going, I really didn't expect much from him. That's not that surprising. I had a great time with both of these chapters, and I would say that probably the final arc, especially with how I'm been rereading and writing reviews for the full series, the final arc, narrative wise, is my least favorite of the three major arcs. However, I am still really looking forward to how Tabata is going to conclude this story. That's going to be all for me today. Bye, guys.